for today's webinar is opportunities in support service sectors. So we have invited Mr. Naqi Abbas, who is the co-founder and director of Enable Employability Excellence and All Growth Solution. And they were providing employability, mentoring, training to young graduates and productivity improvement and solutions to industry. And he's also the member of CII Telangana's panel on education and skills. But today he is unwell, so his presentation will be shared by Mrs. Usha Pallier. Usha Pallier has over 14 years of experience in the field of corporate finance and strategies with companies like Rumi Education, Airtel, Viacom 18, Lasser and Tubro, and Reckitt and Benixa. She has been in the field of social entrepreneurship and startup for the last 7 years. Currently, she is working with incubators like NutriHub, IIMR, CCMB, and TEZ as a trainer and mentor for startups in various fields, especially in the field of finance, funding, and strategy. She is on the National Committee of Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs of India. Usha has a BTech degree from IIT Madras and an MBA in Finance and Marketing from Accelerate Jamshedpur. Over to Mrs. Usha Pallier, and she will be doing the presentation, which is shared by Mr. Naqi Abbas.
Usha, are you there?
Usha, you are on mute. Usha?
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you start.
Yeah, Usha.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for that. I'm very happy to share with you the opportunities in support services sector which are available to women entrepreneurs. This is one sector where lot of opportunities are there. There's varied range of opportunities. There is a lot of options available for women with the varied skill sets. So let's just look at what are the opportunities. These are just some of the opportunities that I'm discussing. As I said, it's a very vast field. For example, there is a option of doing outsourcing of professional services. Simple things being accounting, bookkeeping, finance, part of that. If you have a background in that, you can start this business and have with a few people work, support a lot of companies. This is true for a lot of startups also, and a lot of SMEs also, other than corporates. There is a second part is personnel or HR services. Now, this is something that I will talk in detail subsequently, so I'm not talking much here. Then you have voice and blended services. These are basically call centers which are available for, you can set up a call center for anything for sales to supporting customer support services. And these are not just for companies from abroad. For a lot of Indian companies, these can be set up. For example, in languages or of your local languages, we can set up a call center where you have people call like Airtel, like banks. They all outsource this part of their business. So if you have the capability of setting up this process, you can do it. And it can be done from tier 2, tier 3 towns also. In fact, a lot of companies are now working at rural level to set up at rural level call centers. Then you have technical documentation. This is where if you are from the IT field, you can help companies write down the documentation that is required for all the projects that happen in this field. Companies themselves don't like to do this because it's a time-consuming work, and they don't like to spare their employees for it. So this is the part that is outsourced by most IT companies. So if you have an IT background, form a company with 2-3 of you put together, and you can start outsourcing this. Then you have legal support. If you are from the legal background, you can do it. There is also housekeeping and catering services available. So if you want to take up the entire building's housekeeping services, do canteen services for a lot of IT companies, call centers, big corporates, you can take over their canteens and do catering or housekeeping services. Then there are, this is 2 new fields which are coming out, are medical sample collections and background verification. After MNCs have started coming to the country, country, a lot of people want a background verification done for the employees who are coming in. So a lot of history verification, education verification, employment verification. These are the things that you need to be able to do. The other is health, doing a health test for all the employees. When you have 1,000 employees, 2,000 employee companies, to ensure that the company, their workers are healthy. A lot of companies are now taking care of their health checkups. This helps the companies reduce their health premiums on their health insurance. So this is why a lot of companies are doing it. We can also talk about elderly and childcare services. Now, this is something which can sound funny, but actually a lot of IT companies which have a lot of women entrepreneurs, a lot of women employees want to set up a childcare service within their premises so that the children of the employees can be taken care of. Now with parents staying with the employees, sometimes even that service is being offered by some companies. There are 2 companies in Hyderabad itself which offer this services. Corporate gifting is something I will discuss again later, so I'm not talking here. The last one is electrical and electronics goods maintenance, especially during COVID times with a lot of employees working from home, managing the computers, the headphones, other IT equipment which are now at the employee's house has become an outsourced service that a lot of companies are looking for. So that's another area that you can get into. So let's talk about the personnel services or HR services, which are the most commonly outsourced services that are available in the corporate world. So there are 4 types of outsourced people that are used. One are white collar staff, where I basically mean managers, people sitting in the office. The blue collar staff are basically the factory workers or any other low level workers. Then you have freelance professionals. So companies a lot of times are now hiring some specialists for a certain project. They do the project and they walk away from the company. So those freelance professionals can be is one set. Temp staffing. Here, for example, if any of the employee takes a leave for let's say a month or 3 months during pregnancy or something like that, and the company doesn't want to hire somebody else in their place. So for the period of 2-3 months, somebody comes in, takes the position, works there, and then walks out. So such solutions are being provided by HR companies. This can be both just recruitment. You can just help them with recruitment, as simple as that. Or it could be you are having these people on your roll. So for example, freelance professionals or temp staffing, you have these people on your rolls and you then let these people work with the companies. You take care of the salaries and the companies pay you with a salary plus kind of a payment methodology. How do you get these people? How do you market your services? One of them most important factors is personal network. You need to know the decision makers in different companies. You need to build a personal network. If they trust you, they trust your companies. This is a very trust-based industry. Then you have websites. You have to have a good website which really catalogs all your offerings. There are a lot of WhatsApp groups. A lot of recruitment, especially, is currently happening through WhatsApp groups, where somebody from one HR person would just post saying that I am looking for such and such a person. And then discussions happen. There are also a lot of conferences and events which happen. There are HR conferences, there are recruitment conferences. There are also conferences which happen with in your area. For example, if you are working with the pharma industry, then please attend those conferences which are attended by pharma people, so that you can meet the people who make decisions in these companies. Then there are job sites like Naukri, Monster, and other things where you can you have to have a paid membership in this sites, because you need to have access to the best people in the database and to the postings that people are putting in. Of course, there are platforms like CII, FICCI, CoWave, where you can meet the top people in the business that you are in and network. What do you require for something like that? You need a firm and a company registration. Of course, having a GST and office space especially is desirable, because this helps you set a standard for your clients when they come to visit you. A lot of times nowadays the companies want a video recorded interview of the employee candidate, in which case you having a recording space is a good idea to have. You need a website with a payment gateway, because sometimes companies like to pay online. Subscriptions to sites such as Naukri, Monster, Upwork, the newer ones like Freelancer, Flexing It, etc. This application tracking system is a specialized software used in this industry. It helps you track the application from you giving the resumes to them getting hired. So that is something that you need to have. All the licenses, if you have people working for you internally, like the freelancers and the interns and temp workers, then you need to have EF and ESI licenses. And most importantly, you need to have a team of specialized recruiters. If you're recruiting for pharma industry, you have to have people who understand the pharma industry. Or if you're recruiting for IT industry, you have to have people who understand the IT industry. How can you make money in this? What are your pricing models? One is, first of all, you give a complimentary service, so which basically you don't make any money, but you let them know that you are there in the market and that you can do it. So one-off recruitment you can do for them. Then there is a basic service where you just help them with recruitment and you get a 1 month's salary as your payment. Then you have premium services. This is where the game is played. You help for a company if you want somebody within 15 days. So that's a priority tag. That gives you more money. Then you have sourcing from specific companies. For example, Dr. Reddy's would say that I would like a person from, let's say, Bharat Biotech to work in my Bharat Biotech's lab, to work for my company. In which case, then you go after that one person in that group. That would cost you, cost the company a lot more. Then candidate shortlisting, using testing methodologies, all of this would be a premium service that you can offer to the companies. And this is where you make your profit. What could be the key numbers of this? So the initial first few years, you make kind of revenues of 15, 25, 40, 60 lakhs, depending on the kind of recruitment you're able to do. Your initial investment for all the office softwares, computers, etc., will be around 12 to 15 lakhs. Your working capital, over this, the working capital requirements will be about 10 lakhs. Your profitability in most cases is around 20 to 35%, depending on how much of premium services you offer. And break-even happens in 3 to 4 years. So that is personal businesses. The challenges, one of the challenges this business has, there are many players in the market. In fact, there are thousands of freelancers who do just IT recruitment, for example. So what do you need to do to be successful in this business? One, have a well-defined USP. What is it that is different about you from others? So for example, do you use technology to have video conferencing calls? Do you do technology to shortlist employees? Do you do an aptitude testing? You have an expertise in a field. So are you specialized in IT recruitment, specialized in AI recruitment? That would be something that you have an expertise. Your turnaround time, that could be a well-defined. So you are faster than anybody else in the market. Pricing is a choice, but I would not suggest that, because if you try fighting on the pricing, you end up being the cheapest and you don't make profits. Then have a good value addition, this thing like shortlisting, TAT. You have a good engagement with the client and the candidates. If you have a good relationship with your clients, the chances are they keep coming back to you. Have well-defined payment terms. Define your credit period clearly and ensure that you get your payment on time. This is a very working capital driven business. If you don't get your money in time, you cannot pay it on time. Invest in a good applicant tracking service like Mantal, Workable, ICMIS. These are the ones which will help, a software which can help you make your business a lot more efficient. Of course, you can work in alternative organization models like freelancers and interns, where not many people are competing right now. Let's talk about a different field, which is corporate gifting. This market is right now at 12,000 crore business, and it's growing at 200% per annum for the last 3 years. So there is a huge, huge market to be handled. Now, items in corporate gifting range from apparels, which is t-shirts and stuff like that, to stationery, electronics like headphones, bags, food products like chocolates, sweets, cookies, anything that you can think of can be part of your food products. Your watches, batteries, battery chargers, USBs, and of course, a lot of handicraft items. And eco-friendly items are now something that's becoming very big. This is especially true now thanks to COVID, when all the employees are sitting at home. And so the companies don't have direct contact with the employees and their clients and stuff like that. So they are using this corporate gifting methodology to keep the morale of the employees up and plus get their clients to be more interested in them. So things like, in post-COVID, things like immunity boosting teas, Ayurvedic products, customized masks. In fact, a company customized their employee masks by having their company logo and the name of the employee put on the masks, and gave each employee 5 masks each. So even that is a business that you could think of. Hand sanitizers, etc. What would be the occasions for getting corporate gifting? These gifts are basically designed for clients and customers. Clients would be a little more high-end people. Customers would be any general customer that you can talk of. So the price models would vary. Then you have festivals where Diwali, and India is a very gifting country. We just need an occasion to gift. So any festival, somebody will find a reason to gift. So that is a big business. Then you have special days like Women's Day and all of that. A company that I know for last Women's Day, they gifted every single woman employee with a basket which costed about 3,500 rupees. So they are a 5,000 employee company. So you can imagine how many women would be there and how much of business would have been done for that one basket on Women's Day. Then there is employees, birthdays, promotions, retirements, joinings, children's birthdays, children joining schools. The companies are just finding reasons to give gifts to their employees nowadays. So find a place where you can get in and start selling. Again, visibility, how do you market? You have to have a personal network. Where do you find products and where can you sell products? There are conferences and events like GiftEx, which is one of the world's biggest gifting conference and event that happens. This normally happens in Delhi. There's one happening this April. So if you're interested in this industry, you could try getting in there. Then there's Paper World India, corporate gift shows. Corporate gift shows happen in every major city. Interior Lifestyle India, again, which happens in most cities of India. Please go online and you will know where these events are occurring. There are some happening online also nowadays. Have a website. There is a company called printinter.in, which has a fantastic website where you go in, you choose what type of product you want. You can customize it down to the level of an employee and gift it. So that you demand a premium for it and you get the premium for it. So have a website which has a beautiful catalog and online payment system. Let the company people choose what kind of gifts they want. Have a nice catalog. Tie up with a lot of vendors if you want, but have a nice catalog which can be presented. Have a social media presence. This is one of the biggest selling factors in this industry. Having a good social media catalog, a soft copy of a catalog which can be mailed to the decision makers in different companies. Be part of business associations like CII or COVE, where you can meet the top people in the business. One critical factor for success in this business is having innovation. So keep having new items, different items in your business, and packaging. the more beautifully you package, the better your sales. There are two basic models in this business. One is manufacturing, the other is sourcing. In manufacturing, one is a minimal manufacturing where you source some items, but you do printing and packaging for customization on your own. So for example, you might buy t-shirts from one place, but you print the company logo and things like that, and you do the packaging for that. The other is doing the entire product manufacturing, where you manufacture some of the products that is going into the gifting basket that you have. Then there is sourcing. The other model is sourcing, which is basically trading. Within the domestic sector, you have enough vendors you buy from and you sell. Then you have import, where you import certain products like branded ties and watches and all are being imported and given as gifts to CEOs and big company clients. So that's also a possible business idea. If you look at what could be your investment and returns on this, for the first model, which is manufacturing, which is minimal, your initial investment is anywhere between 15 to 20 lakhs for machinery required for the business. I'm talking about leasing here, but if you want to buy land or acquire a property and put up the business, that would be additional investment. What I'm talking about here is with just basic leasing, there would be some additional working capital depending on how much you want to start with. The profitability in this business is anywhere between 20% to 25%. Basically, because some of the premium work, which is customization, is happening at your end. Then you have, if you're manufacturing, actual manufacturing of products you're happening, depending on the size of the manufacturing setup you're having, your investment would vary between 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs. There have also been cases of companies which have invested up to 1 crore. The profitability here varies between 20 to 35%. It can be higher. There's a Printable, for example, is supposed to be doing a 38% profitability, but that's few companies. So depending on how efficient and how smart you are and how you price your product, the profitability can be higher, and how exclusive your product is. That could also make a difference. Then you have domestic sourcing. If you're doing trading in-house, so the investment here is less, 5 to 10 lakhs, and another 5 lakhs of working capital, if you can think of. This is basically for any printing, as in for computers, printers, websites, and stuff like that. That would be the initial investment that you have. The profitability is also low, 10 to 15%, and I would urge that if you can have the now take the Stand Up India loan and getting into the manufacturing or higher end products, please do that, because the profitability in just sourcing and selling is very low, and this is where the maximum competition is. Finally, you have international sourcing, where if you have the connects, getting from international branded products, the profitability is very high here because international branded products are not something that's easily available, but the volumes are low because not everybody can afford the price of the product. The initial investment in this case is somewhere between 10 to 25 lakhs. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'll take them now.